Today on Mr. Media, I'm on location in downtown St. Petersburg, Florida at the local 662 nightclub to talk to Suzanne, Santo, and Ben Jaffe of the band HoneyHoney, whose new CD is Billy Jack. Stick around. There's no telling what I might do with my little toy gun. Is recorded live before a studio audience of musicians who once swore they'd never play at any club that would have Mr. Media as a member in the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida. Listen, I don't know how you earn a living, but being a young musician, grinding it out on the road, a strange new town every night, people you don't know, food that's sometimes unrecognizable as food, that's a tough business. So I'm going to do my best to provide a friendly face and welcome to Suzanne, Santo, and Ben Jaffe, the new country music duo known as HoneyHoney. They've dropped into St. Petersburg today for their 10-buck tour alongside Joshua James. This handsome young couple from Los Angeles, are they a couple? I have no idea, made a big splash with their first record featuring the hit single Little Toy Gun. It was released on actor Kiefer Sutherland's label. Now they're back for their sophomore effort, Billy Jack. That'll be released on October 24th. They're also on a new independent label, Fontana, and spinning a new single, Turn That Finger Around. First, this is the promo video for HoneyHoney's new CD, Billy Jack.
We're called HoneyHoney.
I'm from New York and Massachusetts.
I'm from Ohio, Midwestern oasis.
No, we both moved to LA about 7 years ago.
We technically met at a Halloween party. I was dressed as a cheetah. Ben was dressed as the Karate Kid.
Ralph Macchio.
Oh, Ralph Macchio, sorry. Our record is called Billy Jack. Billy Jack seems so fitting. He's a hero. He's a cowboy.
He's out in the desert.
He's in the desert. You know, and our music is kind of cowboy desert, boots wearing, we will mess you up kind of tunes.
The songs that are the most relevant, obviously at specific times, just stay with you. So we find ourselves performing these songs a lot. We're shooting a video right now, actually, for the song Don't Know How, which is, I think, a pretty important song on the record for us. We definitely went in much more of a specific direction on this record.
There's a handful of the songs that were written in Nashville. At the time, Ben and I were really getting into Hank Williams and Woody Guthrie and like Patsy Cline, and there's kind of like a old country style bluegrass, but like old-timey country.
We're hoping to release the record in the next couple of months. We're going on a tour starting at the end of April, but we're going out with a guy named Xavier Rudd.
We wrote these songs over the past 2 years. They mean a lot to us.
On this record, we kind of steered the ship much more than we did on the last one.
This is what we sound like.
We're HoneyHoney.
And we're really excited to share our new record, Billy Jack, with you.
Now that you've seen the video, let's get to know them live and in person. Suzanne, Santo, Ben Jaffe, welcome to Mr. Media.
Hello. Oh, yeah, definitely not a couple.
No.
Not a couple at all. Wow. Oh, I'm just kidding, I'm kidding.
So, not a couple.
No,
Not a couple.
no, so we're just good friends.
Good, okay.
There are longing looks sometimes. I don't know what they mean, but, you know.
From who?
What?
From who?
Sorry. I thought we were talking about something else.
I don't know what kind of long looks you're talking about.
Well, let's talk about another kind of long look. That's the kind of look you get in the van, driving from place to place to place. St. Pete is like the 8th stop. It seems to be about 39 stops, maybe more, maybe a little less. By the time it's all done.
41 or something. We've added a few little like music store performances and things like that. So
and I mean, here it's a long drive. You came in from Atlanta. It's a long drive.
yeah.
things are running behind, a little pressed for time, going to Orlando tomorrow and then Jacksonville the next day. How do you cope with this kind of life?
Well, I think, you know, at first you have to want to do it, you know, and we both do, and that helps, you know. And then, I don't know, I feel like we're always experimenting, trying to figure out how to do it. Like before this tour, sometimes you eat well and you exercise, but this time I just kind of tried to get as little sleep and abuse my body as much as possible to get used to it almost.
Is that what you're doing?
I've been trying to like toughen up.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been working.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just like adjusting to a different lifestyle, you know what I mean?
You know what he said is true. It's like you get better at it as you go. You know, like packing your suitcase. It's like you have to carry that suitcase. So there's really no need to overpack. But being a girl, you know, like I have maybe more things than the dudes. Like I change my shirt every day. Some people don't.
I don't think in our band.
You're right.
We're very kindly.
You're right. You know what? Let me move on from that. But you know, you just you're gonna roll with the punches. You have to get used to. You're not gonna sleep a lot. You're gonna be exhausted and most likely strapped for healthy food. So,
change your idea of what smells good, what smells bad.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Who smells good? Who smells bad?
Yeah.
It's do you ever adjust? I mean, do you ever make that connection? You just start counting down the days until day 41, day 40.
Well, you know, along with the exhaustion and the travel, it's a blast. I mean, we're having a lot of fun. It's like we get to stay with friends as much as possible, and we stayed with these friends in Atlanta, and they cooked us this homemade spaghetti and meatball dinner that like they made their own meatballs and sauce. It was delicious, and like things like that are, you know, just. We wouldn't normally get to see those guys unless we were passing through, you know, the Atlanta area, and it's there's definitely a bonus side to it.
To be honest too, and I think you're probably the same way. It's like you lose track of what day it is. Like you're not. If I was sitting there logging everything, then it'd be depressing. You know what I mean? Because you see this road stretching out in front of you. But like, and I'm not embarrassed to say it, but I rarely know what day of the week it is. You know what I mean? Because you're just kind of existing in this whirlwindish type thing, and that kind of helps. Maybe I've never tried it the other way.
Have you? I know this isn't the first time you've gone out and done this kind of intensive tour. Have you done it where you've had days in where you could actually see the places that you go, or pretty much done it like this the whole way?
Here and there,
Here
you know,
and
they're
there.
scattered.
Yeah, it's tough when you're an opening band because usually there's the headliner's in a bus. And they travel at night, while we drive during the day. So your days are limited.
But this is an instance where there is no. We are the headline band. You know what I mean? So we can take our time more this time, which is cool.
I mean, when you travel this close together and at this close quarters, how do the interpersonal relationships hold up? You know, there's 4 of you plus. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's more than 4. There's
with
Zach,
tour manager, so
yeah.
there's 5.
Are they filming right now?
You know, it's like having roommates. You have your differences and your camaraderie and your unity. It's a whole bunch of different things, and you know, especially when you're tired, definitely you can have your differences and they sting a little bit. But then it's also like family. I love these guys that I'm traveling with, so you know, it's a trade-off.
And besides the not changing T-shirts often enough, I mean, do you learn things about each other that maybe you'd rather not know, perhaps?
Absolutely.
Stirring it up over there.
Absolutely.
Anything you want to share?
Not really. No. I gotta look out for my guys here and not throw anybody under the bus.
Fair enough. All right, so you guys have been together about 5 years.
Yeah.
How did you meet?
We met through a mutual friend, a recording engineer. We were both working with him on separate side projects, and he kind of mushed us together.
Not exactly the Beatles coming together, but that's interesting. So someone knew the two of you separately and thought you'd be a good combination.
Yep. We were actually working on our solo project separately with this man, and he was like, "You guys should meet each other. Write a song together." You know, type thing. We did. And then we're like, "Hey, I think you're cool. That's a good song we wrote. Let's write another one."
It's worked out.
Yeah.
And you both now for recording. My understanding is that you guys play all the instruments, and then when you go out on tour, you get together with other people, or tell me how this all works with you guys.
On the first record, we just played our respective instruments, and then we had a studio band come in and play with us. Really amazing musicians, older guys. And on the second record, we did the same thing, just with our friends. So there is kind of a range of instruments that gets played, and a decent amount of them are us, but we're not playing the drums and the bass and the blah blah blah. Kind of create bands in the studio.
I got it. Okay. So because I think I saw in the video you on drums.
I do play drums, but usually not on the record. I played on like 1 or 2 songs on the record.
Because I think people think of you as a duo, but then you come out and see. I know there's 4. And is the foursome that's touring together? Is that a permanent group now?
It's not really. We'd like it to be, but at the same time, it's like we don't have like retainers or anything like that you can be like, you are ours, or we're all together. It's like you hope that it goes as long as you can together, but you never know. It's tough.
People sniping,
it's tough.
Picking off dudes left and right. Not that we wouldn't do the same
those
thing.
Those bands can be more solidified when there's a little more finances involved. When you bring people on board to play with you.
So let's talk about creating music itself. Who does what? Do you both write? Do you both compose? Or do you do that together? Do you do it separately?
Kind of all of the above.
Yeah.
It's like there's some songs I'll write, some songs she'll write, but more and more we're writing songs together. Kind of coincidentally. You know what I mean? And that's been something that's we've, I think, worked towards for a while, because the initial, when you have an idea for something or a piece of music, that's kind of the initial spark for it, right? And then oftentimes we'll bring it together and work it out. But something that we're trying to get together is creating that initial thing together at the same time, and that can kind of open up doors to stuff that is more the two of us than either of us independently.
So on Billy Jack, for example, what would be an example of something that you wrote together, and maybe something that you wrote apart?
Well, before I answer that question, I think it's interesting, because it's like there's some songs that like I wrote the lyrics to, or Ben wrote the lyrics to, but we always finish the song together, like instrument-wise and melodies, and so it's hard to say what constitutes as who wrote the one song, because like it's an that gray area always kind of makes me uncomfortable, because like you don't know, like lots of people contribute sometimes, especially when you're playing with other musicians. But there's a song on the record that Ben wrote called Angel of Death, and that one was pretty much finished when he brought it to me. He's like, "Do you want to sing this?" I think there's a few things we worked out, but I mean, there's always like those elements where we make it work together.
And there was a song on this record too that was Suzanne co-wrote with a guy named Josh Rouse that I didn't have anything to do with the writing process of, called Don't Know How. So it's like everything kind of works out in its own way most of the time.
And the song I guess most people know from you is Little Toy Gun. Tell us a little about how that came together.
Yeah.
Sure, that's actually a song that Ben had written before I met him. And there's a good handful of songs on our first record that were songs that he had written on his solo project that became HoneyHoney songs. That was one of them, and that one did pretty well for us, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's interesting. When I understood that you guys were coming to St. Petersburg, and I just mentioned to my daughter, just in passing, there's a band that's coming to town that might be available for an interview called HoneyHoney. And she got her eyes got wide. She got very excited because.
Thank you.
Yep. You see her off. She's off to the side.
Too. All right.
And she got very excited. And she said, "Oh my God, I know who they are." And she, her girlfriend had told her about them, and she was very excited. And so then I went and listened, and I heard Little Toy Gun. And as soon as I heard it, I went, "Oh my God, I know who that is." It was like, wow. It's interesting how there's just we're exposed to so much music in so many ways. You hear things and become familiar with them, but you don't make the connection necessarily. And
it's like, really rare that something kind of pops up out of the kind of maelstrom of this stuff out there, and not in a bad way, but yeah, just like you said, there's so much we're exposed to, and it takes a huge amount of resource and effort to make something stand out, so working on it.
Now on the first record, you were on Kiefer Sutherland's, some would call it vanity label, but we'll go with label. In retrospect, now you're not with them on the second record. In retrospect, was that a good move to jumpstart the band, or would you have done it differently if you could?
I'll just speak for myself here. I'm not one to backtrack my choices as much, because I think you get where you are by your trial and error, by just living and making the best decisions at that time. And I wouldn't trade any of my, even my personal life. And there was we learned a lot. Had a lot of good times. The end of
opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of great things. At the end of the day, it didn't work out, and we had to find other avenues to get where we wanted to be. And I can honestly say that I'm really, really happy exactly where we are. Actually, you mentioned Fontana, but it's also a kind of a joint deal between a company called Lost Highway and Fontana. And both companies are phenomenal and great people, and I couldn't be more honored to be working with them.
So I guess I kind of have to ask, how does a TV star discover a band, and then the band actually has a big single out of that? How did that happen?
Well, that actually happened, I don't know, kind of through this bizarre web, like we were just talking about, of like personal connections and stuff like that, but we ended up, the kind of come to Jeebus moment was there was a radio contest sponsored by a radio station called Star 98.7 in Los Angeles in Congress with Ironworks, and we entered this contest because this was at a point, people ask us like, would you do the same thing? It's not like there were opportunities pouring in from every angle, to just be like, oh, great, when you're at the stage of your career that we were at, the deals aren't good that you're offered unless you're in some sort of special position, which is fun too. So, we entered this thing and we won it, and then started working with them, and, I think there was a label that had a great intention behind it. People use the word vanity, I think, just because he has a lot of money, and look, if you run a label, there's nothing wrong with having a lot of money, you know what I mean? Like, that can be an extremely helpful thing, and he's someone who has a real passion for music, and I think everyone who worked there did as well.
You certainly you get bonus out of that, because however things wind up, you've got the video for Little Toy Gun. This guy is in it.
Yeah, he directed it.
I didn't know he directed it too.
And conceptualized it. I mean, like
it was pretty amazing to watch him work, and to have someone such as himself do that for us, which was really cool.
Does he or his label have any continuing interest in the band, or you completely?
We're pretty. I mean, every once in a while we'll hear, like a little while back he came to one of our shows, and we've. It's not bad blood. It's just we've moved on.
They gave us a whole bunch of old CDs to sell on the road. We went to the new studio, Jude Cole's new studio, and all that. So I think it's good. Any interest there's a slight business interest from the nature of our deal and how it's separated.
So there's still a little financial interest on their part. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So what you're really looking forward to is the day where you do one of these interviews and someone forgets or doesn't think to ask you about the Kiefer Sutherland connection, because you've accomplished so much more since then.
Thank you.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Right?
We hope to keep going.
So you're going to do, I think, 2 songs for us. Let's say the first is Little Toy Gun. Is there anything else you want people to know about that before you?
No, we're dedicated to your daughter, who requested it.
Who could ask any more than that?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're good? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Toy gun, shining in black like she
my little toy gun. Wait for the day when I can save face and come to a happy home. I know it's turning me to the kind of girl who'd rather be alone. Just wait till I get my way. I promise you it won't be fun. Oh, if you feel like you should pay for my little toy guy.
Yes.
Do you want to come in and get a picture with them?
Yes.
I would love one too. If you don't mind taking one with my camera.
Sure.
This is so exciting. You're so beautiful. Oh my god.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
Alright, so that was HoneyHoney, Little Toy Gun, by request. And now, let's talk about the new album. Why is it called Billy Jack? And for people who don't know, Billy Jack, I guess it was a remake, but it was originally a 70s
It was
action.
a remake of it?
I think there was. I can't swear to it, but
Oh wait, I didn't know that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
We'll look it up. Oh. So, it was a 70s action flick. It was very much a cult favorite, and some people loved it, some people hated it. Why go with that as the name of your new album? I'm kind of curious about that.
Take this one.
Sure. When I moved to LA, I moved into a house with a guy, a bunch of people, but one of these guys is named Jim Turner, who's an amazing comedian and performer, and he's been in a lot of TV and movies and things like that. And he had a bit that he did. He loves to pretend he's a little kid on stage, like a 6-year-old. And one of his things
We sang this with him once
yeah, we sang one of his songs called "Won't You Save My Little Pony, Billy Jack." And it's like this epic song about this little kid whose pony gets stolen, and he's pleading for Billy Jack to come save it. And I think we really just wanted to. We were just thinking about Jim, and him and his family have been very important to both of us. So it's like we kind of named it after them. By proxy, it turned into Billy Jack.
But then it also kind of had this great sort of, after we had this homage to Jim, we realized that it was like this huge like flop at the box office, and then it was this massive cult classic that brought in millions and millions of dollars. Like it was like kind of amazing. It's like, oh, that's cool. Catch fire. Everybody catches fire
The
different
cult
ways.
thing resonates with us. We're banking on a little bit.
Well, that was interesting.
It was awesome. I kind of lost it though when there was like the butt shaking was right in your face because I could see you going, oh god.
Gotta stay focused.
So will St. Petersburg be memorable now?
Absolutely.
All right.
But it was memorable before the belly dance.
No, it really wasn't.
Oh, come on.
We've been here before too.
Have you really?
We were here with Rocco DeLuca.
Oh.
We played, I don't know, it must have been almost 3 years, 2.5
Are
years
you
ago.
sure?
I am. I remember that place, that sushi place.
Sake Bomb?
Sake Bomb, yeah. The Emerald Cocktails, I remember this.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Has this restaurant always been Acropolis?
This was called Bella Brava. It was an Italian
Came
restaurant.
to this
It
restaurant.
was Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that.
Is that right?
We sat at the bar downstairs.
Yeah.
I had fucking pop.
It's all right.
I had
It's
pasta.
the internet. You can use any word you want.
All right, yeah. I remember exactly.
Well, and now I should probably point out, since we didn't plan to be here, we wound up here. We're at the Acropolis on First Avenue North in downtown St. Petersburg. We're upstairs on a little patio, and they were very kind to let us come here and record and play. And the added bonus of having the belly dancer come out and dance while you guys played. That was amazing.
They're pretty awesome.
So yeah, I mean, so you know, it's funny when we did the introduction. I talked about one place rolls into another, food rolls into another. Didn't happen to be the case, I guess, tonight. Kind of a unique experience.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah.
For sure.
So the real question I have to ask, HoneyHoney. Now, strangely, before I actually ask the question, a couple months ago I had on a fellow named Ron Dante, who was the voice of the Archies. He's the guy who sang Sugar, Sugar.
Oh, that's fun.
So here we have HoneyHoney. Now, it's just convenient for me to go from Sugar, Sugar to HoneyHoney, but is there any connection to the Archies? Where does the name come from?
I think it comes from a couple places. One, we were trying to think of a name. That's the biggest place it came from. And it was just, you know, just free association, list. And one of the things was HoneyHoney. HoneyHoney. And I remember it resonated with Suzanne because she likes, especially at the time, like to call people honey, kind of like a sassy Southern lady type way.
I was working in a barbecue restaurant, and I was just weird phenomenon in my life of calling perfect strangers like sweetheart and darling and honey. And like, you know, I loved it. Like all of a sudden I was like comfortable just being like, yeah, baby, you want another? Okay, you know, and just weird.
Yeah, so it resonated with her on that level. I was kind of like, I don't know, I wasn't into it, and then it just happened. That was
Ben came up with it, and then I was like, I don't like it.
But then it keeps cropping up all over the place in like kind of recorded hit music. HoneyHoney is something, it's like a part of the lexicon, you know what I mean? Marvin Gaye says it in the song. It's in the Archie song, there's a Feist song, there's an ABBA song. I mean, you know what I mean? It just like goes and goes and goes, and finally it was just like, all right, you know, the shoe fits.
Well, it's easy to remember.
Sure. Marketing.
And lowercase h's, why that?
You know, we haven't been consistent with that.
Oh, really?
That's true. Actually, now it's all.
Yeah, we're not right at it.
Our logo kind of changed a little bit this past year. It's a little more kind of patch show print looking.
Yeah, it's all uppercase actually. See, to new beginnings.
Got it. If anyone couldn't already tell that we were in a Greek restaurant.
The Bazooki. That's it.
What?
Dude, I would love to see. I bet Najmour is going crazy right now.
Dude, I'll bet you're missing that one, aren't you?
So you're pressing all these dates back to back to back to back. Kind of, we're back where we started the conversation. Lots of dates, a lot of playing. Where do you want all this to kind of take you? I imagine you don't want, like, in a year or two, you don't want to still be doing 40 dates in 50 days or whatever it comes out.
Well, what we want is to sell our new record and to continue kind of putting ourselves on the map and, you know, being, like if you said, oh, I've heard of this band before, that's a good thing. That means that we're working hard and it's paying off. You know, but we do have a new, company, two companies we're working with, and you know, it's like you work together, and part of that is touring. But I mean,
and I think if you're lucky as a musician, you're playing 40 dates in 50 days. You know what I mean? Like you look at these legendary people, and who knows why they do it sometimes, but like Willie Nelson, B.B. King, you know, we would both, I think, be ridiculously lucky to have a career like them. Those guys are like in their 70s or 80s and they're playing 200 shows a year. You know what I mean? So it's like, this is what this is what we love to do. You know what I mean? And what I would like to see is for it to grow. And we are seeing it in places like Atlanta, for instance. Last night, that's cool. A place that we've done some work in the past. And when we came back for our show, we sold more tickets there than we've ever sold in a headlining show before. And that feels good, you know, and so in a year or two, I would love it if we played a venue like we're playing tonight. I would love a line out the door, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I hope will happen.
Well, Suzanne, when we were walking over here, you were stopped on the street. 3 guys recognized you, which I found interesting because it was, I mean, it's daylight. Maybe they would expect to see you walking down the street, maybe they wouldn't, but they were like, oh my God, we're coming to see you tonight. How does that feel?
It feels great. I mean, it's an honor to have anyone who's, well, it's an honor even if it is my friends and family, but people that are strangers to my social circle to show up and be like, hey, I like your music and I want to come support you. You know, that's a great feeling. You know, it makes all the blood, sweat, and tears of being in the van be like, oh, that's why we're doing this, because people want to see us play.
I'll let you distribute these.
Pause. Yeah, I'd love to have a sip of water.
Is there supposed to be a light on for that?
No, the light's on here.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for asking.
Sure.
Yeah, it flashes, so I know it's picking up.
Okay.
God only knows what it's picked up on. We'll find out.
This is probably pretty good. That music might have messed it up a little bit, but
it's atmosphere today. You know, I mean, we shot the opening out front of 662. 662. Okay, and we're still recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking, there's a band that I was thinking of when I was in college. The road band to beat all road bands was Cheap Trick.
Oh.
They played like 320 dates a year, and they would complain when they had to go home for a day or two because it just there was nowhere to go. I mean, it's just there are road warriors.
Cheap Trick is another Jim Turner cover band. Sorry.
Is that right?
Jim Turner covers the Cheap Trick song. Well, he did Surrender. Remember when he had us do Surrender? We all did. We had to do it. It was like learn the song, and I remember being like, we even had verses. Remember we were going over the verses?
yeah.
Yeah.
God,
That was Jim Turner making us sing a Cheap Trick song.
Do you do any covers?
Oh yeah.
What do you guys cover? 'Cause that's usually you learn something about bands based on what they choose.
Well, for
to
a
cover.
long time we covered Smashing Pumpkins song called 1979, which was really fun, and
covered Portishead. The past we covered
Smokey Robinson,
Hank Williams. So whatever.
Townes Van Zandt.
Well, okay, but so let me ask you. So, what you guys are playing now, very country, a lot of it.
Folk country, but
Yeah.
not. I guess when we get a little sort of country has changed. I think a lot as a contemporary word, and we're not pop country. So when someone says you're country, it's like that kind of like change. Like it has difference in opinions.
Yeah, you go to Nashville, people would not call us country.
They wouldn't call us
what I mean?
country. They'd call us like indie rock, and they play the banjo.
And that's where you're playing. You're playing at a place that's very indie. And yet, when I listen to you sing, I mean, the two people that I hear Bonnie Raitt immediately, but I also hear Joan Osborne. I heard a lot of Joan Osborne when I was listening to Billy Jack. And so I wondered, I mean, it's kind of like you're on an interesting line there. I mean, it is kind of alt rock, kind of country, kind of,
We like a little bit of everything, I wouldn't say that we're really trying to do anything. We just like write songs and we're like, I like this and this sounds good like this. And I think coincidentally our record has a lot of pedal steel and banjo and fiddle, and that makes it sound...
Yeah, and we definitely were skewing American music on this one. We were like, you know what, we're gonna try and take, because our first record was just like all over the, what I mean? Like,
what was it like?
You saw me. But this one we were like, you know what, we're gonna try and focus this a little bit more and at least pick a general direction. You know what I mean? And the general direction was, American roots music, blues, country, folk, bluegrass.
Now there isn't a song on Billy Jack that sounds quite like Little Toy Gun.
That wasn't really a song on First Rodeo that sounded like Little Toy Gun, except for one time.
Folks, you can find out when HoneyHoney will be in your town, and they're going to be everywhere, so look for them by going to their website, honeyhoneyband.com. They're also on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're MySpace, and the music will be available. You can get a digital download now at honeyhoneyband.com. If you need the hardcore, real physical record like an old-timer, you can get that October 24th. Most of all, I want to thank Suzanne Santo and Ben Jaffe for joining us, HoneyHoney. And thank you guys very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
it's really that belly dancing experience was a first. So this is exciting.
Well, we want you to go away thinking St. Pete, the new media capital of the world, was a hospitable place.
Okay.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Emmy, and you are watching Mr. Media.